This time tomorrow night, you will be allowed to go out and eat dinner inside restaurants in North Carolina. But it will be a much different experience than what you're used to, from what's on the table to where you sit.
Channel 9's Mark Becker spoke to some restaurants today. He's live now to walk us through what this will look like. Mark?
And Scott, you may begin to notice some differences outside restaurants, particularly popular ones, where you may see something like this on the sidewalk, reminding you to stay 6 feet apart as you wait. And you may have to wait outside because of the new rules inside. And you'll find a lot of changes, different things inside, as we found in Cabo Fish Taco earlier.
So this will be the setup out here. This is what the layout looks like right now.
Chris Wade says customers will notice right away that things are different in Cabo Fish Taco.
Now, I want more than 6 feet if I can make it happen, because you're going to have to worry about travel pass. People are going to want to use the restroom.
Fewer tables, farther apart, all minus the usual setup.
This is the individual one serving Cholula packets for hot sauce. You won't have silverware on tables anymore. You get the little packets of salt, little packets of pepper.
And you may have to wait for someone to clean your table before sitting down. It's all part of the restaurant experience in the COVID era.
Like I said, the pace is going to be a little bit slower. People are going to have to be, quite conscious of their safety during this situation.
Safety is driving changes in other restaurants here as well.
This is the menu that we're operating for takeout right now.
At Mimosa Grill in Uptown, Chef Thomas Marlowe told us they're going with disposable menus and tables spaced even more than 6 feet apart.
So the tables are 8 feet apart, and the chairs at their longest, most comfortable section could be 6 feet apart.
And Chris Wade says everyone's just trying to figure out how to stay safe and stay in business at the same time.
We were lucky. We were a very profitable store before, and that's the times that we're looking forward to again.
It will be open and it will be different. But now bars and breweries are told they cannot open, and some of them are saying, why not? We'll have more on that coming up on Eyewitness News at 6. Scott?
Yeah, I have a feeling at some of these places it's going to be pretty busy tomorrow night, as folks have been waiting a long time, those who choose to go out. Thank you, Mark.
The chairman of Gaston County's Board of Commissioners is pushing businesses to reopen, even if they're not technically allowed to by the state. This is coming after he tried to lift restrictions in the county last month. He spoke to Channel 9's Ken Lemon and explained why he wants them to violate Governor Cooper's order.
This is something police do not want to talk about publicly. Many of them rely on a vote of the commissioners to hire and to outfit officers. But those I talked to confidentially say they encourage business owners to follow the governor's order. Tracy Philbeck, chairman of the board, says if a lot of them open at once, then no one can stop them.
The laws are unjust and they're not fair.
Gaston County Board of Commissioners Chairman Tracy Philbeck talked to me by phone this morning. He said the governor's order shutting down businesses has gone on too long. He has his own resolution. Business owners should band together and sue to overturn the governor's order or ignore it.
En masse, I would support you opening up.
He says he doesn't view it as a criminal act, even though those who violate the order can be charged with a misdemeanor and fined up to $1,000. Philbeck said he supported the governor at first. He even called for a shutdown in Gaston County days before the state. But he said COVID-19 hasn't led to overrun hospitals. It has caused mass unemployment.
If you look at the economic impact of waiting, it is devastating on our economy.
I think that it's dangerous.
Danny Caudle is the chair of the Democratic Party in Gaston County, and he ran against Philbeck for his seat on the board.
It could force more businesses to permanently close instead of less.
He believes it's a political stunt to embarrass a Democratic governor and call for Philbeck to be a voice of reason.
Sir, please step up. We need you right now. We need your voice. We need your calm.
Philbeck said several businesses have already quietly reopened, but he wouldn't name them. We have seen some business operators preparing to reopen in compliance with the governor's order. Those who talk to me say there is no need to rush to reopen and put anyone's safety at risk. Back to you.
Thank you, Ken. It was in April that Philbeck announced Gaston County was ending its own stay-at-home order, but mayors around the county all came out against that decision, and the Gaston County Police Department still enforced the stay-at-home order at that time.
A mysterious syndrome responsible for the death of several children in New York is now in the Carolinas. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services says it received its first case of multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, also known as MIS-C. The symptoms include a persistent fever, inflammation, poor organ function, and of course it can be fatal. Thankfully, the state says the patient here, though, is already back home and recovering. They would not say what city or county that person is in, but last week Atrium told us it was treating a patient who had some of the parameters for that illness. The first U.S. cases were in New York back in May, and 3 children died. At least 20 states plus Washington, D.C. have reported that they are investigating possible cases, but nothing confirmed. Well, school is now trying to figure out how they can get kids back in school this fall. It might include them learning at home some. The state knows a lot of concerns come with this, including child care, internet access, what we've been dealing with this time of year. Our education reporter Elsa Gillis learned each district will have to come up with its own plan to address the challenges.
They are adjusting.
Raquel Linton is a social worker with Thompson Child and Family Focus who works with CMS students. She's someone I checked in with during this time. And today I asked how her families are doing with remote learning as the state works on plans for the fall.
They're doing well, but still it's different from having a teacher face to face.
The goal now is to improve remote learning. And today the State Board of Education laid out framework for districts to create remote learning plans for next school year. Among a long list, they'll need to provide instruction appropriate for students and teachers with limited internet access, figure out how to track and report attendance, and work with community partners on services like free broadband access and childcare for days students are learning from home. Those are both areas Linton is familiar with.
I know I have actually researched for some childcare options for clients who are still first line on the front lines of this work right now. So things are open and available to them. But again, what that looks like for the fall, we will see.
Other areas districts need to specifically address in their plans, making sure students with disabilities have equal access and responding to the needs of students who are English learners or those without permanent homes. Back to you.
Thank you, Elsa. So what about South Carolina schools? Well, coming up at 5:30, we'll take a look at the state superintendent's summer plans and what returning this fall could look like in the Palmetto State.
North Carolina has reported 738 new positive COVID-19 cases today, the second highest number the state has reported. The percentage of tests, though, that came back positive was at about 7.5%. That is about the same percentage that we've been seeing over the past week. The state is also sitting well above their daily testing target. In South Carolina, so far today, no new numbers released, but they did report 9,175 cases and 407 deaths as of yesterday. The state's percentage of positive cases at 5.5%. at&t is making sure that healthcare workers on the front lines right here in Charlotte are being fed. The company is giving $25,000 to the organization Feed the Frontline Mecklenburg County Mission. They made the announcement today at Medic headquarters, and the goal is to make sure that our first responders don't go hungry and that they know they're appreciated as they're trying to save lives.
It is really great to have support from the community and the Feed the Front Lines of Mecklenburg County gathering donations to help support local businesses, provide us with a warm meal that lifts our spirits during this time.
It is also EMS week, and part of the money donated will be used to deliver meals to the Mecklenburg EMS agency.